Listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not inspiration. It is a line drawn in the sand. On one side, the life you've been living. On the other, the life you were destined to live. And right now, in this very moment, you stand at the threshold between the two. For 25 years, a young journalist named Napoleon Hill traveled across America, sitting in the boardrooms and living rooms of the most powerful minds of his era. He studied more than 500 of the nation's greatest successes: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, Schwab. And he did not merely observe what they did. He studied how they thought. He was not searching for luck, talent, or privilege. He was hunting something deeper, the invisible thread that bound them all together. And when he found it, he realized something startling. It wasn't education. It wasn't wealth. It wasn't background, status, or even intelligence. It was morning. It was what they did in the first few minutes after opening their eyes, the moment before the world entered their minds. Before the noise, before the demands, before doubt could whisper its poison. In those sacred minutes, they chose their thoughts. They shaped their identities. They gave commands to their own subconscious minds. And the world conformed to those commands. Most people wake up as prisoners. They open their eyes and immediately resurrect yesterday's fears. They worry about money. They replay failures. They feel the weight of obligations, regrets, doubts. They rise from their beds already defeated, dragging the corpse of yesterday into the birth of a new day. This is not mere mood. It is mental poverty, a silent epidemic that afflicts 98% of humanity. Mental poverty is not the absence of money. It is the presence of limitation. It is waking up believing that life happens to you instead of through you. It is surrendering your mind to fear before your feet touch the floor. It is the reason so many live lives of quiet desperation, chained to routines, waiting for change that never comes. But for a select few, for the builders of empires, the architects of industries, the visionaries who altered history, morning was a battlefield, and they refused to lose. They understood that the first 5 minutes of the day determine whether the next 24 hours will be ruled by purpose or by fear. And Hill discovered the secret. Every great fortune, every breakthrough invention, every historic achievement began not in an office or a factory, but in the quiet solitude of dawn. Picture it. Carnegie standing before his window before the first light touched the sky, declaring his intentions with fire. Edison alone in his laboratory, whispering his faith in the infinite. Rockefeller beginning his day not with newspapers or gossip, but with deliberate, purposeful thought. They were not reacting to life. They were issuing commands to it. Why does this matter? Because the human mind is not a passive observer. It is a transmitting and receiving station, a living instrument of creation. When you speak with feeling, when you charge words with emotion, you send signals deep into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious, directly connected to infinite intelligence, does not argue. It does not doubt. It does not ask how. It simply accepts and begins to construct reality based on what you tell it. This is not superstition. This is not motivational fluff. This is psychological law, spiritual law, universal law. It has been observed in the lives of the greatest achievers in recorded history. The subconscious mind does not care whether you speak truth or lie. It cares only about repetition and emotional intensity. It shapes your destiny based on the words you speak with conviction. For too long, you have allowed your mind to run wild, like an untamed horse dragging you wherever fear wished to go. Worry became your saddle. Doubt became your reins. Circumstances became your master. No more. The words you are about to learn, the morning ritual of the masters, are not mere affirmations. They are bridles and bits for the wild horse of the mind. They are precision instruments forged from the distilled wisdom of men who conquered entire industries. They are keys designed to unlock the hidden vaults of your subconscious, one door at a time. Each phrase is a weapon. Each phrase is a law. Each phrase is a force, spoken with emotion, spoken with faith, spoken with persistence. These phrases will rewire your mind, and through it, your world. But be warned, saying them casually will do nothing. Repeating them without feeling is futile. Words without belief are dead. The transformation requires only two things. First, speak them every single morning without fail. Second, speak them with absolute faith and burning emotion. Because emotion is the spark that ignites the command. Emotion is the currency of the subconscious. Emotion is the language of creation. When you combine words with belief, when you speak purpose into the dawn, you set in motion forces that cannot be stopped, forces that bend circumstance, forces that attract opportunity, forces that align reality. This is the dividing line between the masters of life and its victims. Victims wake up and remember their past. Masters wake up and create their future. You have been given the chance to cross that line. And so, the author of Think and Grow Rich turns to you and asks a question that every titan of history has already answered. Will you take command of your mind in the first 5 minutes of your day? Or will you surrender it to fear? Because the truth is unavoidable. Each morning you either program your mind, or the world will do it for you. The chains are already weakening. The old identity is beginning to crack. And from the edges of the future, a voice whispers, "You were never a leaf blown by circumstance. You were always the wind." What follows are the 11 phrases that separate mediocrity from mastery. They are simple. They are powerful. They are sacred. They are the beginning of your transformation. And now, your journey begins. There is a sacred hour in human history that few ever witness, and fewer still ever command. It is the hour before the world awakens, before noise replaces thought, before urgency suffocates intention. In that quiet stillness of dawn, destinies are written. Most people have no idea how much power lives in those first moments of each day. They stumble into consciousness as victims of memory. Their minds instantly replay yesterday's failures, yesterday's conversations, yesterday's limitations. Before their bodies rise, their spirits sink. This is not coincidence. This is programming, and it is devastating. But the masters of history, the Carnegies, the Fords, the Edisons, the Rockefellers, treated morning as sacred ground. They understood something society has forgotten. Your mind is most malleable the moment you awaken. In that early state, brainwaves move through alpha and theta, the same frequencies used in hypnosis and deep meditation. The subconscious mind stands exposed, unguarded, receptive. It listens, it absorbs, it obeys. And so these giants did not begin their days with idle chatter, newspapers, or distractions. No, they began with command. They began with intention. They began with words spoken into the silence, words that shaped the unfolding of reality. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men to ever live, believed his true wealth was not steel, but thought. Each morning, before the sun crested the horizon, he stood at his window like a general surveying the battlefield of the day ahead. He did not wait for motivation. He summoned it. He spoke his intentions with such burning conviction that those who met him later felt a presence, an invisible force, as if the day itself had already bowed to his will. Thomas Edison, whose inventions touch every corner of the modern world, knew that ideas did not come from intellect alone. They arrived from a deeper source. In the stillness of early morning, in the quiet of his laboratory, he declared his connection to infinite intelligence, the wellspring of all knowledge. Before he touched a tool, he aligned his mind with the divine. Only then did genius flow. Henry Ford did not begin with mechanics or machines. He began with imagination. While others consumed news of war, crisis, and limitation, Ford fed his mind with possibility. Each morning he renewed his sovereignty over circumstance, reminding himself that reality is built, not inherited. The world told him impossible. His mind replied, "Watch me." John D. Rockefeller, the architect of Standard Oil, did not begin his day with market reports. He began with thought, purposeful thought, strategic thought. He believed that a single clear intention spoken in the morning had more value than 1,000 frantic actions taken without direction. When he spoke, he was not reciting wishes. He was issuing blueprints to the subconscious. Here is what the world never understood. These men did not start successful and then form morning rituals. They formed morning rituals and then became successful. They did not speak affirmations to feel good. They spoke them to program reality. Because the mind is not merely a container, it is a transmitter and a receiver. Thought is not passive, it is generative. Words are not noise, they are signals. And when those signals are spoken with emotion, they pierce deep into the subconscious mind, the chamber where identity is forged and destiny begins. Modern neuroscience now proves what these titans knew intuitively. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. The brain reorganizes itself to match your dominant thoughts. Your actions follow your expectations. Your environment shifts to reflect your internal state. The world does not shape you. You shape the world by first shaping yourself. This is why most people fail before the day even begins. The moment they awaken, they surrender their minds to fear, distraction, and noise. They scroll through other people's lives. They allow emails to dictate their thoughts. They allow the past to dictate their future. They begin as servants and wonder why the day becomes their master. But those who rise with intention, those who begin with conviction, those who speak with authority over their own minds, harness a force more powerful than circumstance: conscious creation. Here lies the secret that remained hidden for generations. The first 5 minutes after waking are the most powerful minutes of your entire day. In those minutes, you are neither fully conscious nor fully unconscious. You exist in a liminal state where suggestion sinks directly into the fertile soil of your subconscious. This is the golden window when your thoughts become commands. Every empire of achievement, every revolution of mind, every breakthrough in human progress began in this window, in silence, in solitude, in the quiet dialogue between the conscious will and the subconscious power. And now that power is being handed to you. But the ritual is not passive. You do not whisper these phrases. You do not repeat them lifelessly like empty affirmations. You speak them as warriors speak oaths, as kings speak decrees, as creators speak worlds into existence. Emotion is the voltage. Faith is the conductor. Words are the switch. When you speak with belief, you activate the master engine within your mind. You awaken the infinite intelligence that has always lived within you, the same force that Edison channeled, that Ford trusted, that Carnegie unleashed. This is not metaphor. This is operation of law. And it all begins the moment you open your eyes. The 11 phrases you will learn are not random. Each one unlocks a different chamber of the subconscious. One awakens power. One directs purpose. One dissolves fear. One multiplies opportunity. One transforms failure. One activates destiny. Alone, each is potent. Together, they form a master key to everything you seek. These phrases are not positive thinking. They are mental architecture, not motivation, reprogramming, not inspiration, initiation. They were used by men who changed history. They are meant for those who intend to do the same. And yet the world will miss it. People will hear this truth and still choose comfort over transformation. They will cling to excuses. They will hit the snooze button on their potential. They will trade the kingdom of achievement for 5 more minutes of sleep. But you are different. Because if you are still listening, Something inside you has already begun to awaken. Something ancient, something powerful, something ready. You feel it, don't you? The subtle stirring of possibility, the quiet rebellion against mediocrity, the rising conviction that you were not born to drift, you were born to direct. The door to a new life stands before you. The key is in your hand. The morning is waiting. The subconscious is listening. The universe is watching. And now, it is time to speak with power. In the next part, you will encounter the first phrase, the foundation of all others. The declaration that shattered empires of limitation and built kingdoms of achievement. 3 times history has heard these words. This time, it will hear them from you. I am the master of my fate. There are words that sound poetic, and then there are words that split reality in two. I am the master of my fate. 6 simple words. Yet when spoken with conviction, they have overturned empires of fear, broken chains of circumstance, and resurrected lives from ruin. These words do not comfort, they confront. They strip away every excuse, every justification, every story of helplessness, and leave only power. To declare, I am the master of my fate, is to step onto the throne of your own mind. It is to accept the terrifying and liberating truth that everything in your life, your victories and your defeats, your progress and your stagnation, your abundance or your lack, is not the product of chance, but of thought. Most people never reach this truth. They live as leaves in the wind, blown by news headlines, by opinions, by circumstances, by their past. They blame the government, the economy, their upbringing, their boss, their relationships, their genetics. They search the world for the source of their struggle, never daring to look in the mirror. But a few, a rare few, choose something different. They choose sovereignty. Napoleon Hill once met a man who had lost everything: his business, his savings, his hope. He sat weeping in Hill's office, convinced life had conspired against him. Hill did not give him money. He did not give him comfort. He gave him 6 words. I am the master of my fate. Repeat them every morning, Hill said. Not weakly, not casually, with force, with fire, with belief. 6 months later, that same man returned. He had rebuilt everything, and more. He was wealthier than before, stronger than before, unstoppable. What changed? Not his circumstances, his consciousness. When he shifted from victim to master, his world rearranged itself around his will. This is the first and greatest law of achievement. You are not the victim of fate. You are its author. Every circumstance in your life today is the echo of a thought you allowed yesterday. And the thoughts you choose today are already shaping the life you will experience tomorrow. Some resist this truth because it removes the comfort of blame. But the successful embrace it because it gives the gift of control. If you created your current reality, then you can create a better one. This is not wishful thinking. This is universal law, as precise as gravity, as neutral as electricity. Your dominant mental attitude becomes a magnet, attracting either success or failure, abundance or scarcity, joy or misery. That is not philosophy. That is psychology. That is physics. That is the mechanism of the subconscious mind. William Ernest Henley, lying in a hospital bed after losing his leg to disease, refused to surrender to despair. From that pain came his immortal lines, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. He was not writing poetry. He was writing a law of the universe. Charles M. Schwab understood this law. He began as a day laborer in a steel mill, earning a single dollar a day. By every standard, he should have remained ordinary. But each morning, he stood before his mirror and declared, with unwavering certainty, that he would one day run those mills. He did not hope. He did not daydream. He commanded. Years later, he became president of U.S. Steel and earned over $1 million a year, when $1,000 could buy a house. He did not rise because of luck. He rose because his subconscious mind received a clear order and molded reality to obey. Henry Ford, mocked by experts, doubted by financiers, laughed at by engineers, faced 1,000 failures before the Model T ever touched the road. But every morning he renewed his mental declaration: I am the master. I decide. I create. While others waited for conditions to improve, he improved himself, and conditions followed. Your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, belief or doubt, courage or fear, power or weakness, it will grow. It does not question the seed. It simply nurtures it. When you rise each morning and look into your own eyes, truly look, then speak these words with emotion. You are planting seeds of sovereignty, seeds of destiny, seeds of unshakable personal power. I am the master of my fate does not mean you control everything that happens. Storms still come, setbacks still arrive, but the master does not fear storms. Why? Because the master controls the response, and the response shapes the outcome. Victims drown in the rain. Masters build ships. Understand this: the law of attraction is not magic. It is mental alignment. When you choose to believe you are the master, your subconscious begins to filter opportunities, people, and ideas that match that belief. You start recognizing solutions that were invisible before. You become magnetic to success, not by chance but by design. And this is where most people fail. They want success without responsibility. They want change without ownership. They want the crown without the weight of it. But you, if you dare to speak this phrase with conviction, you are choosing something greater. You are choosing power over comfort, creation over complaint, destiny over drift. The words are simple, but they require courage. Because once you say them, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer pretend you are powerless. You have declared war on limitation, and your old identity will fight back. Doubt will whisper. Fear will rise. The world will test your resolve. But if you persist, if you continue declaring your sovereignty each morning with emotion, your subconscious will realign your reality to match your declaration. And when that happens, everything changes. This phrase is not the first of the 11 by accident. It is the foundation. It is the starting point of all self-transformation. Until you accept total responsibility for your fate, no technique, no strategy, no opportunity can save you. But once you claim that responsibility, nothing can stop you. So tomorrow morning, stand before the mirror. Look into the eyes of the person staring back, not with shame, but with recognition. That person is not a victim, not a pawn, not a byproduct of circumstance. That person is power, potential, unexpressed greatness. And with a voice that makes the walls tremble, speak, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I decide who I become. I command my destiny. Feel the surge. Feel the chains break. Feel the mind awaken. Because the moment you accept mastery over your fate, fate kneels. And that is only the beginning. There is a moment in every life when drifting is no longer an option, when the soul demands direction. That moment is the birth of purpose. And purpose, once crystallized, becomes the greatest force in the world. Most people never reach it. They wander through life like ships without rudders, drifting wherever the currents of circumstance push them. One day they dream this. The next day they chase that. They scatter their energy across 1,000 half-hearted pursuits. Their lives become busy, but empty, active, but aimless. They wake up decades later and wonder why nothing truly meaningful ever took root. Napoleon Hill discovered why. He called it definiteness of purpose, the starting point of all achievement. And he said it plainly. 98 out of 100 people fail because they never decide exactly what they want. Not vaguely, not someday. Exactly, clearly, absolutely. Without a definite chief aim, the mind becomes divided, conflicted, unfocused. The subconscious, receiving mixed signals, freezes. Life becomes scattered action without progress, effort without compounding, movement without momentum. But the moment you decide, truly decide what you want, everything changes. Suddenly thoughts align, energy concentrates, ideas appear, opportunities are recognized instead of overlooked. People arrive, time bends, purpose parts the sea. Hill knew this personally. He spent years in poverty, frustration, and confusion before Andrew Carnegie revealed the supreme importance of definiteness. Carnegie told him, "A man who knows what he wants and is willing to pay the price will get it." That sentence became the foundation of everything Hill taught. Purpose is not a wish, it is a command, and commands are not whispered. They are declared with certainty. No story proves this more powerfully than that of Edwin C. Barnes. Barnes was a nobody. No money, no status, no connections. But he had one thing most people never possess: a definite chief aim. He decided that he would become the business partner of Thomas Edison. Not an employee, not a helper, a partner. People laughed. Barnes ignored them. Each morning, before the world awoke, he stood in his shabby room, looked into the mirror, and declared his intention as if it was already reality. He didn't hope. He didn't wish. He commanded his subconscious mind to accept it as fact. And the subconscious obeyed. When Barnes finally reached Edison's office, he looked like a tramp fresh off a freight train. The staff saw a beggar. But Edison saw something else, the fire of purpose burning in his eyes. And fire recognizes fire. Edison didn't hire him as a partner. Not yet. He offered him a job of little importance. To most people, this would feel like rejection. But Barnes understood a secret. When your purpose is definite, the form of the opportunity doesn't matter, only the direction. He took the job. He worked. He learned. He persisted. And his conviction never wavered. Years later, when Edison developed a dictating machine and needed someone passionate enough to sell it, he thought of one man, Barnes, the one who had already seen himself as a partner. Barnes made the product a success, and in return, he became exactly what he had declared: Edison's business partner. He died a wealthy man. This is the power of a definite chief aim. It turns nobodies into legends. It turns dreams into contracts. It turns imagination into empire. John D. Rockefeller knew at age 23 that his definite chief aim was to become the world's greatest oil refiner. He spoke it. He breathed it. He measured every decision against it. He did not chase opportunities. He filtered them. Purpose became his compass. Standard Oil was the inevitable result. Purpose is not about intensity. It is about direction. It is the difference between sunlight and a laser. One warms, the other cuts through steel. With purpose, even small actions explode with power, because they compound. Without it, even massive effort evaporates, because it scatters. This is not philosophy, it is neurology. The brain filters 99% of information through the reticular activating system, RAS. Without a clear target, the mind has nothing to lock onto. But a definite aim programs the RAS like a guided missile. Find this. Ignore everything else. Your subconscious mind is like a 24-hour construction crew. It never sleeps, never stops, never questions. It only builds from the blueprint you give it. A definite chief aim is that blueprint. But here is where most people fail. They think purpose is something you discover, as if it hides somewhere outside of you. No, purpose is not found. It is declared. It is chosen, created, forged in the fire of decision. And once chosen, it must be repeated, daily, aloud, with intensity. Because repetition forges belief. Belief directs action. Action shapes destiny. Each morning when you say, My definite chief aim guides my every action. You are not merely stating intention. You are aligning identity. You are telling your subconscious, this is who I am. This is where we are going. Filter my thoughts. Shape my emotions. Direct my energy accordingly. And the subconscious responds, understood. I will reorganize reality. When spoken with vision, this phrase unlocks a secret the world cannot understand. Success is not about doing more. It is about eliminating everything that does not serve your purpose. Barnes eliminated doubt. Rockefeller eliminated distraction. Ford eliminated hesitation. Purpose made them unstoppable. You must do the same. So tomorrow morning, do not ask, what should I do today? Ask, what serves my chief aim today? Then act, decisively, unapologetically, relentlessly. Because when your aim is definite, you no longer chase opportunity. Opportunity chases you. This phrase is not just an affirmation. It is a contract with your future self. It is the birth of focus. It is the death of drift. It is the difference between living by default and living by design. Look in the mirror. Feel your breath. Then speak the words. My definite chief aim guides my every action. I know what I want, and I move toward it with clarity and conviction. Every thought, decision, and step aligns with my purpose. I do not drift. I direct. And as you finish, understand this. The world steps aside for the person who knows exactly where they are going. Pause for a moment. Forget everything the world has told you about limits, talent, luck, and circumstance. Let a deeper truth rise to the surface. You already possess within you all the power necessary to create anything you can conceive and believe. Not some of the power, not potential that might be unlocked someday. All of it, here, now. This is not motivation, this is law. Yet from childhood, society conditions us to believe the opposite. You need permission. You need credentials. You need more time, more talent, more resources. You are not enough. And so most people wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect environment, the perfect version of themselves. They wait for confidence before taking action. They wait for inspiration before beginning. But the giants of history understood what the masses did not. Power is not something you acquire. Power is something you awaken. Thomas Edison, the most prolific inventor in modern history, had only 3 months of formal schooling. By all external measures, he should have lived and died in obscurity. But Edison possessed one priceless insight. Human genius does not originate in the mind. It flows through it. When faced with problems no scientist had ever solved, Edison did not rely solely on logic. He accessed something deeper. He would enter a dark, silent room, sit in absolute stillness, close his eyes, and declare his connection to infinite intelligence, the source of all ideas, all solutions, all creation. Then he waited, and in that silence, ideas flashed, concepts formed. Answers appeared fully constructed in his mind, as if whispered by the universe itself. Over 1,000 patents later, the world still speaks his name. Was he superhuman? No. He simply learned how to remove the greatest barrier to infinite intelligence. Doubt. Doubt is the dam that blocks the river of power within you. Faith is the key that releases the flood. George Washington Carver, born into slavery, no formal education, became one of the greatest scientists of his era. When asked how he discovered over 300 uses for the peanut, he didn't credit books. He said, I went into my laboratory and said, Dear Creator, please tell me what the peanut is for. Then I waited for the answer. This is not myth. This is the mechanics of the subconscious mind when connected to infinite intelligence. The average person uses less than 10% of their mental capacity. 10%, which means 90% of your potential lies dormant, like a vast gold mine beneath your feet while you beg for coins on the street. You do not need more power. You need more awareness of the power you already have. Think of your subconscious mind as a supercomputer running billions of calculations per second, solving problems, storing information, generating ideas, while your conscious mind focuses on only one task at a time. Every great breakthrough in science, art, medicine, innovation, leadership was born when someone trusted the subconscious to reveal what logic alone could not. And that subconscious? It is directly connected to the infinite. But most people never access it because self-doubt blocks the signal. They say, "I'm not smart enough. I'm not ready. I don't think I can. I'm just ordinary." And the subconscious replies, "As you command." The walls of your limitation are built from your own beliefs. Carnegie once said, "No man is limited except by the thoughts he chooses." The chains that bind you are not iron, they are imagination. When you change the thought, the chains disappear. This affirmation, "I possess within me all the power I need," is not just encouragement. It is an act of liberation. It cuts the cord between you and dependency. It announces to your subconscious, "Stop searching outward. Look within. The source is here." You are not separate from the creative force of the universe. You are an expression of it. The same power that gives birth to stars, that transforms seeds into forests, that turns seasons with perfect precision, flows through your mind. Call it infinite intelligence. Call it divine mind. Call it quantum field. The name does not matter. The connection does. Your only task is to recognize it, accept it, and direct it. But how do you direct infinite power? With purpose, with emotion, with belief. When you combine a definite chief aim with the belief that you already possess the power to achieve it, something miraculous happens. You become unstoppable, not because the path becomes easy, but because every obstacle becomes solvable. Not because you avoid setbacks, but because you extract wisdom from them. Not because doors always open, but because when they don't, you build your own. There is a reason why every master in history, from mystics to moguls, taught the same principle in different words. The kingdom of heaven is within you. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What you seek is seeking you. You become what you believe. All of them pointed to one radiant truth. You are not weak. You are unaware. And awareness is the beginning of power. Each morning when you stand before the mirror and speak this phrase, do not mumble it. Declare it. I possess within me all the power I need. The source of creation flows through me. Ideas come to me. Solutions come to me. Strength awakens in me. I am connected to infinite intelligence. Say it until the words are not spoken to you. They are spoken from you. Feel the shift. Feel the energy rise. Feel the mind expand beyond fear, beyond hesitation, beyond limitation. Because the moment you internalize this truth, the world will look at you differently. It will sense something limitless in your eyes. It will feel the confidence of someone who no longer begs for power, but builds with it. You will no longer wait for opportunities. You will create them. You will no longer fear challenges. You will conquer them. You will no longer ask, "Can I?" You will state, "I will." And the universe, as it always has, will respond to the strength of your belief. Because the person who knows they already have the power is the one who finally uses it. There is a principle so simple, so powerful, so mathematically certain, that it has created more millionaires than any other law of success in history. And yet, most people ignore it. It is not luck. It is not genius. It is not timing or connections. It is this: those who consistently give more than they are paid to give inevitably receive more than they expect. This is the law of increasing returns. In nature, the farmer who tends the soil with exceptional care receives a harvest far greater than the seed he plants. In business, the person who creates more value than required becomes irreplaceable. In life, those who serve beyond expectation rise beyond limitation. But the world is filled with people who do only the minimum, What's the least I can do and still get by? How little can I give and still get paid? How can I avoid extra effort, extra responsibility, extra risk? And then they wonder why their lives never expand, why promotion passes them by, why opportunity slips through their fingers, why abundance goes to someone else. They violate the law of success and then blame the world for their failure. Going the extra mile is not about working harder. It is about showing up differently. It means bringing quality where others bring mediocrity. It means doing the unexpected, the excellent, the thoughtful. It means over-delivering, even when no one is watching. It means serving from a place of pride, not obligation. This principle created empires. One of Andrew Carnegie's steel mills was failing. 4 managers had already tried to save it. All failed. As a last resort, Carnegie called Charles M. Schwab. Schwab agreed, on one condition. He would run it his way. His way, the principle of going the extra mile. He didn't work 8 hours. He worked 12. Not for overtime pay. There was none. But because he was determined to create value beyond expectation, he demanded the same of his team, not through force, but through inspiration. He modeled excellence until excellence became culture. He replaced "what must I do" with "what more can I do?" Within 1 year, that failing mill became the most profitable in the entire Carnegie system. Schwab's reward? A bonus of $1 million for a single year of work, during a time when $1,000 was a fortune. People called it luck. They called it favoritism. They were wrong. It was law. The law of increasing returns guarantees that what you give beyond the expected will return multiplied. Not always immediately, not always from the same source, but with mathematical certainty. Just as gravity pulls objects downward, extra effort pulls opportunity upward. Here is the deeper truth. Going the extra mile changes you. It develops discipline, character, creativity. It transforms your reputation into your greatest asset. People begin to see you differently, as someone who can be trusted, someone who solves problems, someone who delivers excellence. And in a world drowning in average, excellence is magnetic. Henry Ford didn't build the automobile industry simply by working harder. He added value others could not see. While his competitors focused on profit, he focused on service. He asked, "How can I make the automobile affordable to the masses?" That single thought, rooted in value, not greed, turned him into one of the richest men in the world. Frank W. Woolworth saw people with only nickels and dimes. Others ignored them. He served them. His 5 and 10-cent stores made him a multimillionaire. J.P. Morgan didn't just finance companies, he organized them. He brought order to chaos. He created structure where others saw complexity. His fortune was not luck. It was compensation for value. Here is what the world never teaches. Money is not the cause of value. It is the result of value. Wealth does not chase greed. It chases service. So when you say, "Today I will go the extra mile," you are not just promising to work harder. You are aligning yourself with the universal law of compensation. You are telling your subconscious, "I do not wait for opportunity. I create it through contribution. I do not compete. I dominate through excellence. I do not hope to be rewarded. I become the kind of person who cannot be ignored." And something powerful happens. Your subconscious begins scanning your environment for ways to overdeliver. It generates ideas to improve your skills, your relationships, your work. It pushes you past bare minimum thinking and into realms of creativity and leadership. You no longer ask, "What do I get?" You ask, "What can I give?" And paradoxically, the more you give, the more returns circle back to you. This is not fantasy. This is symmetry. The universe mirrors the spirit of your contribution. But let us be clear. Going the extra mile is not about working yourself into exhaustion. It is about working with purpose, with pride, with excellence. Anyone can work long hours. few can work with deep care. Extra-mile thinking turns ordinary tasks into extraordinary leverage. It transforms jobs into opportunities. It transforms effort into equity. It transforms employees into leaders, and leaders into legends. This is why Andrew Carnegie only promoted those who demonstrated the habit of going the extra mile. Not because he liked hard workers, but because he understood mental law. Those who freely give more than they must will one day receive more than they can imagine. So tomorrow morning, when you speak this phrase, do not say it lightly. Stand tall, breathe deep, and declare, "Today, I will go the extra mile. I will bring excellence to everything I touch. I will give more value than I take. I will exceed expectations, not someday, but today." And then watch. Watch how people begin to trust you. Watch how doors begin to open. Watch how opportunities begin to find you. Effortlessly, continuously, inevitably. Because the universe does not reward the minimum. It rewards the extraordinary. And the extraordinary begins the moment you step beyond what is required. That is where success hides, waiting for the few who dare to go farther than the rest. There is a truth that shatters one of the greatest illusions of society. Wealth is not a result of taking. It is a result of serving. Every great fortune in history, every single one, was built on this principle. Not on exploitation, not on manipulation, not on greed, but on service, on creating value for others, on improving lives at scale. Yet most people don't understand this. They chase money directly, grasping for shortcuts, cutting corners, hoping to get ahead. They treat wealth as something to take rather than something to earn through impact. And so money runs from them. Why? Because money is not a goal. Money is a response. It is the shadow cast by service. It is the receipt of value delivered. You cannot run toward the shadow. You create the object that casts it. Henry Ford understood this law more deeply than any accountant or banker of his time. His obsession was not profits, it was people. His mission was clear. Build a motor vehicle the average person could afford. Not the wealthy, not the elite, everyone. To do so, he revolutionized production. Not to increase his salary, but to decrease the cost of the automobile so more families could own one. He didn't just make cars. He gave mobility to the masses. He gave freedom. He gave time. And the wealth that followed? Inevitable, unstoppable, mathematically guaranteed. A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business, Ford often said. Money was not the goal. Money was the echo of service. Frank W. Woolworth saw something others ignored: customers with very little money. His competitors saw them as unprofitable. Woolworth saw them as human beings deserving dignity. He created five-and-dime stores where people of modest means could shop with pride. He built an empire on nickels and dimes, not because he exploited the poor, but because he served them better than anyone else. Service, multiplied, becomes fortune. J.P. Morgan did not merely invest in companies. He organized them. He saw that America needed structure, coordination, efficiency, stability. He unified railroads, steel companies, banks. He brought order to chaos. He created systems that helped industries grow. He didn't just take profits. He built platforms, and the universe compensated him accordingly. Here lies the universal law. The size of your reward will always be in direct proportion to the amount of service you render, the quality of that service, the spirit in which that service is rendered, not by luck, not by favoritism, by law. This is the law of compensation, and it is as reliable as gravity. You cannot violate it, but you can harness it. Most people fail because they approach wealth backward. They think, when I am rich, then I will give. When I am successful, then I will help others. When I have more, then I'll contribute. The masters think the opposite. I will give, therefore I will become rich. I will help, therefore I will succeed. I will serve, therefore I will attract. Service first, reward second. Always. The selfish repel wealth. Why? Because they violate the law of exchange. They try to reap without sowing. They try to withdraw without depositing. They try to receive without contributing. But the mind of wealth thinks differently. How can I add value here? How can I solve a problem? How can I make this better for others? This is why wealthy individuals are not just problem solvers. They are problem seekers. They look for pain. They look for inefficiency. They look for unmet needs. Then they fill the gap, and the world rewards them. When you speak the phrase, "I attract wealth through service to others," you are not being positive. You are aligning yourself with the most powerful law of prosperity known to man. You are telling your subconscious, stop seeking shortcuts. Start seeking ways to serve. Stop measuring effort. Start multiplying value. Stop chasing money. Start solving problems. This shifts your energy. This shifts your relationships. This shifts your reputation. This shifts your destiny. Because the person who serves will always rise above the person who competes. And here is the secret that wealthy people know. Service expands consciousness. When you focus only on yourself, your world shrinks. Your problems grow. Your fear intensifies. Your mind becomes a prison. But when you serve others, genuinely, creatively, wholeheartedly, your world expands. Ideas flow. Confidence rises. Influence increases. Your mind connects with infinite intelligence. Because service is not loss, service is access. It connects you to deeper levels of genius, intuition, and inspiration. It opens doors no strategy could open. It introduces you to people no networking could reach. It accelerates your growth faster than any personal ambition could. Service unlocks abundance. When you speak this affirmation each morning, do not say it weakly. Stand tall. Embrace the identity of someone who creates value wherever they go. Say it with power. I attract wealth through service to others. I multiply the lives I touch. I solve problems with passion. I give more than I take. And because I serve greatly, wealth flows to me naturally, abundantly, and endlessly. Let the words reshape you. Let them refine your decisions. Let them elevate your standards. Because the moment you commit to service, the universe commits to you. Opportunities will find you. People will support you. Doors will open. Resources will align. Not by accident, by law. And the world will look at you and say, they are so lucky. But you will know the truth. Luck did not build your wealth. Service did. Listen carefully. This is the principle that separates legends from the forgotten, champions from the defeated, the unstoppable from the ordinary. Success is not the absence of failure. Success is the mastery of failure. Most people fear failure like death. They avoid risk. They hesitate. They tiptoe through life, trying not to make mistakes, not realizing that avoiding failure is the greatest failure of all. Because while they play it safe, their dreams wither in silence. But every extraordinary life has one thing in common: a trail of defeats that became fuel, not chains. Greatness is not built on wins. It is built on what you do when you lose. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." Not sometimes, always. This is not comfort. It is law. Let us prove it. Abraham Lincoln failed in business at 21, lost his election at 22, failed again in business at 21, suffered a nervous breakdown at 27, lost elections at 29, 31, 34, 46, 47, and 49. Most people would have quit after the first defeat. Lincoln failed 9 times. At 52, he became President of the United States and saved the Union. Every failure was training. Every defeat was preparation. Thomas Edison's teachers said he was too stupid to learn. He was fired from his first 2 jobs. When inventing the light bulb, he failed over 10,000 times. A reporter asked, "How did it feel to fail 10,000 times?" Edison responded, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Each failure was a step. Each step was progress. Each progress point was a lesson. That is not optimism. That is mastery. R.U. Darby and his uncle found a vein of gold during the gold rush. They bought equipment and started drilling. The gold disappeared. They kept going. Nothing. Frustrated and exhausted, they quit and sold their machinery to a junk dealer for a few $100s. The junk dealer brought in a mining engineer who discovered the truth. The gold vein was 3 feet from where they stopped. The junk dealer made millions. Darby could have drowned in regret. Instead, he learned. He went into insurance sales and applied the lesson of persistence. He became one of the most successful salesmen in America. He turned failure into fortune. Here lies the secret. Failure is never permanent unless you accept it. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack resilience. They misinterpret temporary defeat as permanent judgment. They quit in the tunnel, inches from daylight. They never realize that life was not saying no. It was saying, not yet, grow stronger. Your subconscious mind has a miraculous ability to convert every experience, good or bad, into wisdom, strength, and strategy. But only if you command it to. When you say each morning, "I transform every failure into a stepping stone," you are programming your mind for resilience. You are telling your subconscious, when something goes wrong, don't panic, extract the lesson. When the plan collapses, don't retreat, adjust the strategy. When I fall, don't mourn, stand me back up stronger. This mindset creates what Hill called failure immunity, the psychological armor that makes you unstoppable. Nature proves this law everywhere. The tree that stands against the wind develops the deepest roots. The muscle that strains against resistance grows the strongest. The diamond is formed under pressure. The phoenix is reborn in fire. Failure is not destruction. Failure is construction. It shapes you. It refines you. It prepares you for the magnitude of success you are called to carry. Without failure, success would crush you. Temporary defeat is life's way of testing your commitment. Do you really want this? Will you keep going when it's hard? Will you grow instead of shrink? Only those who persist are entrusted with the prize. And here is the most powerful shift of all. Failure is feedback. It is information. It is refinement. It reveals what doesn't work, so you can discover what does. Every master, every inventor, every leader, every innovator uses failure as fuel. They don't avoid it. They seek the lesson within it. The average person sees failure as a wall. The successful see it as a ladder. So when you speak this affirmation, speak it like a warrior sharpening their blade. I transform every failure into a stepping stone. No defeat is final. Every setback prepares me for a greater comeback. I grow stronger with every challenge. My resilience is my superpower. Feel how different that is from victimhood. Feel how powerful it is to know that nothing can stop the person who refuses to quit. Because here is the ultimate truth. You will fail. You will fall. You will stumble. But if you rise every time, if you treat every wound as wisdom, then failure cannot defeat you. It can only build you. And one day, people will call you lucky, without ever knowing how many times you bled to become unbreakable. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, overnight fame, and shortcuts to success, this principle stands like a mountain, immovable, eternal, irrefutable. All enduring success is built gradually, methodically, persistently, over time. There are no true overnight successes. There are only people who worked in silence for years. Then the world suddenly noticed. The masses want the harvest without the planting. They want the fruit without the roots. They want the reward without the process. But nature does not bend for impatience. The seed must break before it becomes a tree. The soil must be watered again and again with no signs of progress. Until one day, Life bursts through the ground with unstoppable force. Success is the same. Napoleon Hill warned, "The greatest destroyer of potential is impatience." Impatience kills dreams because it convinces people to quit just before the breakthrough arrives. It whispers, "It's not working." It tempts you to dig up the seed to check if it's growing, ruining the process. But the masters knew the truth. There is a season for planting and a season for harvesting. They cannot be rushed. Look at James J. Hill. He spent 20 years, 2 decades, building the Great Northern Railway. He laid track through forests, mountains, and endless opposition. He faced financial ruin repeatedly. People called him insane. "Hill's folly," they mocked. But Hill had patience. Hill had persistence. Hill understood that great achievements require time to mature. He did not rush. He did not give up. He kept building 1 mile at a time. And when it was finished, the Great Northern Railway became one of the most successful transportation systems in history. Hill became one of the wealthiest men of his era, not because he was lucky, because he was relentless. Marshall Field suffered the destruction of his entire store in the Great Chicago Fire. He could have retired in bitterness. Instead, he saw the fire not as an ending, but as an opportunity to rebuild. Better, stronger, smarter. He rebuilt with purpose and persistence. He became a retail empire. His name stood for excellence for over a century. His philosophy was simple: do common things uncommonly well. This requires patience to master details and persistence to maintain standards. The world loves talent, but talent without persistence? Useless. The world praises genius, but genius without persistence? Wasted. Calvin Coolidge said it best: "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Genius will not. Education will not. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." Why is persistence so powerful? Because persistence beats resistance. Because persistence compounds effort. Because persistence turns small actions into unstoppable momentum. Think of compound interest. A small amount invested daily seems insignificant at first, barely noticeable. But over time, the growth becomes exponential. Tiny increases produce massive returns. This law does not only apply to money. It applies to habits, to skills, to confidence, to character, to destiny. Every day you persist, you are building unseen layers of strength. You are laying bricks in your foundation. You are aligning forces in your favor, even if you don't see the results yet. Greatness does not appear suddenly. It accumulates quietly. Most people quit early because they can't see progress. They don't realize that the root grows downward before the tree can grow upward. They don't realize that the pressure builds underground before the geyser erupts. They give up in the dark, unaware that sunrise was minutes away. This affirmation, "I am building my success with patience and persistence," is not soft. It is brutal strength. It is long-term warfare. It is the mindset of those who refuse to be rushed or broken. When you speak it each morning, you are telling your subconscious, "I am in this for the long game. I trust the process. I cannot be discouraged by temporary delay. I move forward even when progress is invisible." This turns you into something rare, a force of nature, because persistence does not just help you finish. Persistence transforms you. Persistence turns hesitation into confidence. It turns fear into courage. It turns obstacles into staircases. It turns time into your ally. Success is not a sprint. It is not even a marathon. It is an endless climb. But the view gets more breathtaking with every step. Those who demand quick results will abandon the mountain at the first sign of pain. Those who understand patience will outlast everyone else and plant their flag at the summit. Every morning, speak this phrase like an oath: "I am building my success with patience and persistence. I honor the process. I trust the timing. I move forward every day, no matter what." Small steps, big faith, unstoppable progress. Feel the power of those words. Feel the calm confidence of someone who cannot be rushed. Feel the iron in your spine as you stand against struggle and say, I will not quit. I am inevitable. Because here is the final truth. The world does not belong to the talented. It does not belong to the lucky. It does not belong to the brilliant. It belongs to the persistent. Those who stay in the game long after others have surrendered. Those who keep planting seeds long after the impatient have walked away. Those who endure the winters because they know spring always comes. There is a battle being fought every day, an invisible war for your mind. Not for your time, not for your money, not even for your energy, for your thoughts. Because he who controls your mind controls your future. And the greatest threat to your destiny is not failure, not poverty, not lack of opportunity. It is the slow, silent infection of negative influence. One toxic comment, one cynical voice, one seed of doubt, one moment of fear allowed to take root inside your mind, and your entire future can be detoured. Most people never become who they were meant to be, not because they don't have the ability, but because they never learned to build mental walls. They leave the gates of their mind wide open, unguarded, undefended, allowing anyone and anything to plant seeds in their subconscious. They let television program their beliefs. They let social media shape their self-worth. They let friends and family limit their potential. They let society define what is possible. They become a garden overrun with weeds, wondering why nothing beautiful grows. But the masters of achievement, they guard their minds like a fortress. They filter every word. They question every influence. They reject anything that weakens their belief, their confidence, their vision, because they understand this truth. Your mind is sacred ground. Napoleon Hill said it clearly. Your mind is like a garden. It will grow whatever you plant, success or failure, abundance or poverty, joy or misery. But you are the gardener. You must decide what grows. The world is full of people who will tell you what cannot be done. They failed, so they expect you to fail. They quit, so they expect you to quit. They surrendered to mediocrity, so they are threatened by your ambition. They will disguise their negativity as concern. I'm just being realistic. Don't get your hopes up. Be careful. You might get hurt. Beware of dream thieves wearing the mask of logic. Guglielmo Marconi announced he would send messages through the air without wires. His friends thought he had lost his mind. They literally tried to place him in an asylum. Imagine if he had listened. There would be no radio, no wireless communication, no Wi-Fi, no modern world as we know it. Instead, he closed his mind to their disbelief and opened the world to a new era. Henry Ford faced endless mockery when he said he'd build a car for the masses. Engineers proved it was impossible. Financial experts guaranteed bankruptcy. Even his own father discouraged him. If Ford had listened, the world would still be riding horses. But he had mastered a critical discipline. He shut out all voices except the one inside that said, "It can be done." While others saw limits, he saw laws waiting to be broken. While others asked, "Why?" he asked, "Why not?" Negative thoughts are contagious. They spread through conversations, media, culture. They infect your belief system quietly, until optimism feels foolish and fear feels logical. And once the subconscious accepts limitation, destiny collapses. That is why you must become a guardian at the gate of your mind. You would never let a stranger walk into your home and dump garbage on your floor. So why let them do it in your thoughts? You cannot simply resist negativity. You must replace it. Hill called this the principle of mental substitution. When someone says you can't, you immediately remember someone who did. When doubt tries to enter, you flood your mind with faith. When fear knocks, you answer with courage. This is not denial. This is discipline. This is choosing which voice you allow to build your world. Your subconscious does not judge thoughts as good or bad. It only accepts what is repeated with emotion. This means one negative remark, if internalized with feeling, can sabotage your goals. But one powerful declaration, if spoken with conviction, can reshape your destiny. Each morning, when you declare, "My mind is closed to all negative influences," you are not being stubborn. You are being strategic. You are telling your subconscious, "Filter my environment, protect my belief, reject fear, amplify strength. Only thoughts that support my chief aim may enter. All others will be dismissed at the gate." This is how champions think. This is how leaders rise. This is how legends are born. When you develop this mental discipline, everything changes. You stop being manipulated by worry, news, and toxic voices. You stop absorbing the limitations of those around you. You stop allowing the world to shrink your vision. Instead, you build emotional armor. You become mentally bulletproof. You become the calm in the chaos. You become the one others look to for certainty, strength, direction. Because in a world drowning in negativity, the person who can maintain an unshakable mind is unstoppable. Tomorrow morning, when you stand before the mirror, speak this phrase with unbreakable authority. "My mind is closed to all negative influences. I protect my thoughts like treasure. I choose faith over fear. I reject doubt, criticism, and limitation. Only positivity, power, and purpose live in me." Feel the gate close. Feel your mind become sacred territory. Feel the peace of absolute control. Because once you master your mental environment, you master your destiny. There is a force more powerful than motivation, more magnetic than ambition, more transformative than even discipline. It is the force that turns ordinary days into sacred ground and ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. That force is gratitude. Not the shallow, "be thankful" cliché. Not polite appreciation. Not forced positivity. But living, breathing, soul-deep gratitude. The kind that rewires your perception, alters your emotional state, expands your awareness, and magnetizes opportunity to you with the precision of a law of physics. Because that's exactly what it is. Gratitude is not emotional. It is electrical. It is energetic. It is magnetic. What you focus on with feeling, you attract. What you honor expands. What you appreciate, appreciates. This is not wishful thinking. It is the subconscious law of attention. Whatever you emotionally dwell upon, your mind will seek more of. Focus on lack, and you'll see nothing but scarcity. Focus on problems, and you'll become a magnet for more complications. Focus on opportunities, and they begin appearing everywhere, sometimes in places that were always there, but you were blind to them. Gratitude is the lens that reveals abundance. John D. Rockefeller is remembered as one of the wealthiest men in history. But few know the real secret behind his success. He began each day with gratitude. Even when he was a struggling bookkeeper earning less than $1 a day, he gave thanks for his health, his job, his ability to learn, his small opportunities. He didn't wait to be rich to feel abundance. He felt abundance, and then became rich. He often said his success was not due to financial genius, but to his habit of appreciating what he had while working for more. Gratitude did not make him passive. Gratitude made him powerful. Because gratitude is not complacency. Gratitude is clarity. It removes the fog of fear and reveals opportunities hidden in plain sight. Andrew Carnegie, who rose from poverty to build an empire of steel, lived the same way. He gave thanks for every person who helped him, every challenge that strengthened him, every lesson life taught him. He once said, "Every blessing ignored becomes a curse." Why? Because when you take something for granted, you become blind to its value, and eventually you lose it. Gratitude protects. Gratitude multiplies. Gratitude sustains. Science now confirms what the masters knew by experience. Gratitude rewires the brain. It raises serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals of happiness and motivation. It lowers stress hormones. It improves decision-making. It strengthens the immune system. It expands creativity. It increases resilience. Gratitude literally changes your biochemistry. It upgrades your internal operating system. When you feel grateful, your subconscious shifts from survival mode to creation mode. Fear dissolves. Vision expands. Solutions emerge. You begin to notice opportunities that your previous state of mind would have ignored. This is why gratitude is not just emotional. It is strategic. It is practical. It is success technology. But here is the paradox. Most people wait for something good to happen before they feel grateful. They make gratitude a reaction. Masters make gratitude a decision. They don't feel grateful because they are successful. They are successful because they feel grateful. The ungrateful person lives in a prison of lack. Even surrounded by blessings, they can't see them. They criticize instead of appreciate. They complain instead of create. And so the universe mirrors their vibration. More things to criticize. More things to complain about. More scarcity. Their life becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of limitation. But the grateful person lives in a world of expanding abundance. Each blessing noticed opens the door to another. Each opportunity recognized leads to more. They generate what Hill called opportunity consciousness, a heightened awareness of possibility, a magnetic pull toward success, a mental radar that detects potential in every situation. They don't wait for luck, they attract it. This is why this affirmation is so potent. I give thanks for this day and its opportunities. You are not thanking the past. You are declaring the present as fertile. You are telling your subconscious, today is valuable. Today is full of possibility. Today will reveal blessings if I stay aware. This primes your mind to search for doors instead of walls, to find allies instead of enemies, to notice resources instead of limitations. And the subconscious always delivers what you instruct it to look for. Imagine starting your day not with stress, not with distraction, but with reverence. Imagine standing before the mirror and saying, not softly, but with emotion, I give thanks for this day and its opportunities. I am blessed with breath, strength, and purpose. I am surrounded by possibilities. Today is not ordinary. Today is a gift, and I will use it fully. Feel the energy shift. Feel the atmosphere change. Feel your heart open. Because in that state, you become unstoppable. Gratitude creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. Results create momentum. Momentum creates destiny. And while others wait for the perfect moment, you will seize the hidden opportunity standing right in front of them. Not because you are lucky, but because you were awake. This is the magnetism of gratitude. It turns your entire life into fertile ground. And the person who knows how to cultivate opportunity will never fear the future again. There comes a moment in every transformation when knowledge is not enough, when inspiration is not enough, when belief is not enough. There comes a moment when one final ingredient is required to ignite destiny. Action, not someday, not when I feel ready, not when the timing is perfect. Now, because while you hesitate, life moves on. While you deliberate, opportunities vanish. While you wait for certainty, someone with less talent but more courage steps forward and claims the future you were designed for. The universe does not reward intention. It rewards initiation. Napoleon Hill said, "Indecision and procrastination have murdered more opportunities than all other causes combined." Dreams do not die from failure. Dreams die from hesitation. Most people never make the wrong decision. They make no decision. They stay stuck at the crossroads of life, paralyzed by fear, obsessed with perfection, drowning in overthinking. And while they wait, the door closes. But the masters of achievement, those who shaped history, had one trait in common. They made decisions quickly and changed them slowly, if at all. Why? Because decision is power. Decision is direction. Decision is identity. The moment you decide, energy converges. The subconscious receives a target. Resources begin to align. Momentum is born. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest military minds in history, was asked the secret of his success. He replied, "I make decisions 2 hours before my generals think they need to be made." While others were still analyzing, he was advancing. While others reacted, he created. Initiative became his greatest weapon. And destiny bows to those who move first. Hernán Cortés landed in Mexico with 600 men, facing an empire of millions. His first order? Burn the ships. No retreat, no backup plan, no escape, victory or death. In that moment, his men were transformed. They stopped hoping for success and started demanding it. When there is no way back, the only direction is forward. That is the power of decision with courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of it. Every person who has ever achieved greatness felt fear. The difference? They acted anyway. Every time you move despite fear, you build the muscle of courage. Every act of courage strengthens identity. Every bold step expands possibility. The timid ask, "What if I fail?" The courageous ask, "What if I fly?" This is why the affirmation, "I act with decision and courage today," is essential. Not "I will try," not "I hope to," not "when I'm ready." I act today with courage. You are telling your subconscious, "I lead, I don't wait. I move, I don't stall. I create momentum. I seize opportunities before they disappear." This mindset pulls you out of hesitation and into creation. Because life does not respond to thoughts alone. It responds to motion. But action is only half of the final transformation. There is something even greater, and it redefines the meaning of success entirely. I am becoming the person I was meant to be. This is the final affirmation because it is the highest aim. Success is not just about money, status, or achievement. Those are side effects. True success is becoming. It is evolution. It is aligning your life with your highest potential. Everything you desire, wealth, joy, freedom, impact, is not found outside you. It lives in the future version of you, the version who is bold, disciplined, purpose-driven, resilient, loving, unstoppable. When you become that person, success cannot be avoided. It becomes a natural expression of who you are. Booker T. Washington was born into slavery, yet became one of the most influential leaders of his era. How? Not by chasing success, but by developing himself daily. He worked harder on his character than his career. He focused not on what he had, but on who he was becoming. And the world adjusted to reflect his evolution. Benjamin Franklin created a system of 13 virtues and practiced one each week. Every evening, he reviewed his progress. Every morning, he renewed his commitment. He transformed himself from a poor printer's apprentice into a scientist, diplomat, philosopher, inventor, and founding father. He understood the law. Small daily improvements compound into extraordinary transformation. Becoming is not a single event. It is the accumulation of choices. It is the refinement of self. It is the ultimate art. Most people stop growing after school, stop learning after getting a job, stop evolving once they reach comfort. They die at 30 and are buried at 70. But the few, the rare few, choose to become. They refuse to settle. They refuse to coast. They refuse to let comfort sedate their calling. They rise each day not to maintain who they are, but to advance who they are. This final affirmation is not casual. It is sacred. When you look into the mirror each morning and declare, "I am becoming the person I was meant to be. I will not shrink. I will not settle. I will not stop evolving. I honor my potential by growing into it. Every day I rise. Every day I expand. Every day I become." Sato You are not speaking to who you are. You are speaking to who you are destined to become. And that future self is listening. Now the 11 phrases are complete. But they are not magic in silence. They are power in motion. And so you are given the final challenge, the ritual that transforms these words from theory into reality. Rise 30 minutes earlier. Find a place of solitude. Stand before the mirror. Look yourself in the eyes. Speak each phrase with fire. Feel every word. Repeat each 3 times. Once to awaken thought, once to ignite emotion, once to command destiny. Then sit in stillness. Let the subconscious receive. Let infinite intelligence respond. Do this for 30 days without fail. Miss one day, begin again. Consistency is the price of transformation. 30 days. You begin to feel change. 60 days. You begin to see change. 90 days. Others begin to notice. 6 months. You will be unrecognizable. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. And so we arrive at the final crossroads. You now hold the exact ritual that built empires, forged leaders, and resurrected broken lives into legends. You have the master key to destiny. The only question that remains, will you use it? Will you continue drifting, or take command? Will you repeat the past, or rewrite the future? Will you let others program your mind, or seize control of your own? The next 30 minutes after you awaken will write the next 30 years of your life. Rise early, speak boldly, believe completely, act decisively, persist relentlessly, become. This is how ordinary men rise to greatness. This is how poverty becomes prosperity. This is how weakness becomes power. This is how dreams become empires. This is the path of those who refuse to settle. This is the way of those who were born to lead. This is your moment. The universe is listening. Your subconscious is ready. Your future is calling. Take the key. Open the door. Step into the life you were destined to live. The kingdom of achievement stands before you. Enter.